Hi, it's Sandy Shallis with Environmental Coffee House, and welcome. I am home, and there's a lot going on, and I'm going to start with a few little housekeeping things, and then let's get down to it. That was the week that was on Environmental Coffee House, and while you are watching me go live, I'm just going to see how my I don't know how it is. Hi, Chanel. I wait for people to join us. I'm hoping my internet's going to be good, you know. It isn't always, and it was slow. So, hi, Kim. Okay, people are joining us. That's great. All right. Awesome. Fortune for this. So, anyway. So, let's get started. My housekeeping. This past week, I was away, as you know, and I'm say hi, Patrick, and hi, Mindy. And this is a Facebook page. We are not a professional publication. We are a Facebook page. Our work is sharing under the environmental umbrella information. I have a team. I have people who volunteer to do this, who have different voices and are not always the same as me, because that environmental umbrella is huge. So last week there was a little skirmish and a little misunderstanding on a piece. And I just want people to understand it's not always me that's posting as an Environmental Coffee House. There's a couple of others, and sometimes because of the diversity of our people, and we are incredibly diverse, we may not make sense to some of you if we are ironic, because all of us kind of find an irony to our predicament out here with climate change and with ocean acidification and with fracking and with all of the things that are happening out there. You know, all of our voices are not exactly the same. We are on the same trajectory, but we're not all the same. And I just ask for people to be patient and try to read into what a heading might say and not quip something fast and have expectations that we are something we're not. You know, we don't ask for donations. This is a labor of love. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit about my experience, because it kind of mirrors the world a little bit. And I want to start out with what I experienced, what I saw in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, which is basically, it's a tourism island. And it's about tourism in the United States. And it's really started with the ships, which are yachts that one person might own, that were there. I mean, these things are bigger than I remember. I hadn't been up there in 11 years. And it's been a long time. By virtue of the fact that my folks were smart enough a long time ago to make a very little investment, they had a place for all of us to go. Life has been busy, so we went. And I booked a fishing trip on a small little reconverted tugboat. Thought my husband would like it, you know. I didn't know what I was in for on this. And my commentary on this is going to be that the tourism business, people have to make money. I found it incredibly violent, the fishing business off of these boats. I was disturbed because, you know, I always hear that, oh, the fish, you catch them and you throw them back and all. And I was watching my husband fishing, but it wasn't just my husband. It was others. It wasn't humane and it wasn't nice. And I hated it. I loved being on the water, but I really hated it. I fish. I hated watching people. They were mangling these fish and they were throwing them back in the water. There were all kinds of different fish. There was flounder and sea bass and what you call one fish that was called a sea robin, which had almost like wings and had little feet. But these are not harmless hooks. And I watched people mangle these fish and throw them back in the water. And you know what? It really made me sick. And I am not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. Although every single day I think about everything I eat. And in reference to this trip, it just made me sick. But what made me sick was not so much that people, were catching them to eat them, because they were. What it was, and Mindy says, wildlife does not exist for our entertainment. Exactly, and that's what Mindy and I have been talking about. There were kids on this boat, and they're being taught that it's really okay just to catch a fish and then mess around with the hook and everything. 10 minutes, showing them in pictures, and then throwing them in the water with the excuse that it was, something bigger is going to come along and eat it. So we're really interrupting with natural selection right there. It's really denial. And it was really, really violent, and I really didn't like it. So because they had... you had a measurement, and you could not keep the fish that were small. That's why so many people were throwing them back in. And I have been thinking about making this commentary for a while. Forgive me, a little bit of a help with my back. I don't begrudge people making a living. I just really cannot stand watching people in tourism making a living out of suffering of animals. And it was like last week, the article I posted about the dancing bears, and how I think it was Bulgaria, they have now made that practice against the law, I believe, and how they trained them was using hot plates and making the bears stand on these hot plates. Human beings are vicious. Everything seems to be just there for us to use and abuse. And the more I am alive, and I'm getting older. Hi, Stephanie Graybill. She's joined. Hi, Lee. A lot of good people. I'm so happy. Hi. But as the longer I live on this earth, the more disturbed I am by these things. I guess you could say in my life, I was clueless to a point. I went hunting with my husband. I never killed anything. I shot with my camera. I would hike. I loved hiking. I loved the outside. I never watched him do any of it. He's not a vicious person as far as that goes. He gets one deer a year. But even that now, even that's bothering me, even though it feeds him. And he guts it and he does the work. But he doesn't let it suffer, which is what I saw in the tourism industry. And then they would throw the fish that they were going to keep in a pail with hardly any water, and I had to listen to them flop around. And really, I was almost in tears when I got off that boat. So it wasn't for me, I don't know how many of you that's for, this whole tourist industry thing. I don't know. So I had wanted to make that commentary because it was very upsetting. And I know we have a lot of vegans that follow us. And I know we have, we have a lot of people who feel this way about animals, that they are sentient beings. And believe me, I really love animals. And I'm starting to feel that more and more, that I just don't know if I could ever eat meat. I don't know. Kim says population control for the deer. Well, yeah, that's what New York State DEC says. And actually, they do starve in the winter. There's a population that will starve. But I don't want to make this thing about hunting. I just wanted to make it to discuss that whole fishing trip. And I also wanted to talk about what I saw there from 11 years ago to now in the size of the yachts that were off the pier. There was one particular, it was called the Mamacita. And the people that worked on it were cleaning the windows, and then you walk by, you could see the cook inside in the kitchen cooking, and it really, I took a picture and put it on my Facebook page. It really showed the 1%, and then I put up a picture to juxtaposition, and I used the little tugboat and the other 98%. It is just so wide, and it's widening. I mean, we go up there, I have to count every penny. And now, I had a party this year, and then we went up there and we drove, and I want to talk a little bit about that too. And I told my husband, we come back, I said, from now until the end of the year, we are like completely, we're broke. We will be, but I enjoy spending it, and I like making other people happy, which is why I do this, and why I do, I gave a party to make people happy. I worked my butt off at the party because I wanted to see people happy, and out of surgery, it really hurt. And I was in bed. Everything I do causes problems, but I try not to show it. Shelley says, hi, Sandy. Thank you, my dear sister Heidi, for the invite. Hi, guys. Well, hi, Heidi. Thank you for sharing. So the next thing I wanted to go over from the last week that was the storm that we drove through. So we left after the vacation and after my whole week of feeling like nothing is the same. Since I've been down this rabbit hole that I'm down, nothing is the same. From every restaurant I went to, from everything I looked at, from the tourist shops, from selling things, materials, goods, plastic straws in every restaurant, nobody thinking, this is Martha's Vineyard, supposedly the liberal bastion of vacationhood for Americans, and there was plastic everywhere. Yes, I'm sure that there are, rules and laws and regulations on some things. I didn't have time to research them, but everybody was giving my leftovers in plastic containers, except for one place, and everybody was using plastic straws. So while that's a tiny little issue, and that certainly isn't going to save us from anything, and I don't have the hoping that any of that would, it just makes where you live a better place to think about using things that are alternatives to plastic. So that was another thing I noticed on my way to talking about this storm. And this is like intense. And by the way, talking about storms, when we left there on Thursday, it was 93 degrees. And as you see, I'm sitting outside. I have a blanket on my legs. It is freezing. It's in the 50s. I watched it drop as we came home. So we passed this epic storm. Now, we're driving down I-495, which is in Massachusetts. And we start seeing dark, and I said to my husband, holy crap, look at this, let's try to get some AM radio to see if there's a weather report. Well, we started seeing the most insane. If I tell you epic lightning like I've never seen before, it was. I don't even think it was anything that's, I don't want to call it the new normal. I've been in storms. Every time we have lightning and thunder here, I make videos of them so I can use them again, so I can use them up because I find it fascinating. This was like my being in a planetarium. I felt like the vehicle was in a planetarium and that we were surrounded by a bowl and that we were looking at science experiments. We were looking at a planetarium replicating incredible lightning to just give you the idea of what lightning can be and what lightning can do. And hi, Elizabeth, Sarah. Thank you for joining. My high school friend. Anyway, this lightning was so intense. I don't know if I remember ever seeing anything like it. Driving into it, there was one clap of lightning, and I kid you not, you imagine yourself driving and looking out your front window, and a line in the lightning going down, straight down. It lasted a long time. It looked like it was this thick through the windshield with lines, wiggly lines going this way. I had never, ever seen anything like that. And it was scary. I was in no way scared for my life. I was just more scared that this is heightening, and these types of storms are just heightening. And where we had just left was a drought. So, the Martha's Vineyard, they had drought conditions, and we went hiking through the woods, and a lot of brown. So they needed the rain, and but oh my God, So that leads me into the next topic, which is the weather modeling that has been showing up on ECH. Thank you, Antonio Reed. Antonio has been going on, and he's been keeping up on the Facebook page with the modeling. He uses Ventusky, and he might use some other modeling services, and he has been updating us on these hurricanes. And right now, South Carolina looks like it's going to be in the way. And Lori just said, since you started talking about the storm, rain started pelting down here. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's going to rain here too. I'm outside. It is blustery and rainy, but it was pretty intense. And we listened to the little AM radio. You know, people were calling in saying where they were, what they were doing. And then yesterday I talked to a young gal who told me that she this summer, watched lightning hit right outside her window. She doesn't live far from me. Right outside her window, go up in a poof like that, right? And short-circuited her vehicle. Didn't even touch her car that she knew, but all the car systems were redone. And they were all set to whatever they were. And then she said that something in her garage burned out. So the lightning, it's pretty hellacious. I know lightning's always been crazy and strong. So again, I'm not a lightning, expert. And Heidi's asking, when did I experience the storm? It was on Thursday afternoon. It was probably, Heidi, I was in sort of like Massachusetts, Rhode Island area, driving down. And it was about, I don't know, maybe 4 o'clock. 4:30, something like that. That's when we went through. But again, it was incredible. But the lightning that I heard the story out here, excuse me, about my friend. I saw her at the farmer's market yesterday, and the lightning just outside her window. Wow, it makes me think, because when there's thunder and lightning storms, I go out on my covered porch. Well, you've all seen it. I go out on my covered porch. I like to take videos. So maybe I better watch myself, lest I have a little lightning flash myself. So I'm going to shorten this up. I just wanted to go over some of these things. And I wanted to talk about trolls a little bit too. This one was particularly on YouTube. I've blocked the person on my YouTube page, but they trolled me on a Paul Beckwith video. And I showed the video when I went on my vacation, which I haven't been on, in a long time up there. This person was pegging me as a hypocrite. Okay. I've never said I wasn't a hypocrite, and I never said that I am some kind of clean energy or whatever guru. Unbelievably, this person, I thought it was amusing, but this person follows me and trolls me and said, because I told it was a video, and I had said to the person that did the video that, their stuff was appreciated, was on the architect. And this troll, besides making racially disparaging remarks, who doesn't know my background at all, sat there and, said that, oh, my whole family are fossil fuel users. Okay. Well, number one, my point was, what was I supposed to do to get up there? Take a horse and buggy from my neighbors? What options, I said. What options? What are we given? We drove up there. That's the option I have. I don't have an electric car, and I don't have $80,000 for one of those, what is it, Teslas, So this person was saying, you got to walk the walk, or whatever they said. It was rude and ignorant, but you know what? You're going to have trolls. What options do we have? I want to see my family. Now, I had made a comment. My family, I can't control what they do. My daughter's going to Europe. I have no control over the fact that she's flying to Europe. She's going to be 30 years old. My family is going to China. I'm not. For a wedding at the end of December. It's a family wedding. I have no control over what they do. Yeah, they use fossil fuels. Can I control my family? Can you control yours? I know what I do. And I'm actually going to calculate the miles per gallon, everything. I'm going to calculate what the carbon footprint of this trip was. Because I had been reading about carbon footprints of flying and driving and the hours of driving. And it was a very interesting thing because somebody flying a private plane from New York City to Martha's Vineyard actually uses less gas, less petrol and burns less and has a lower carbon footprint, at least this is according to that person, than driving up there. But I want to know. So this troll who I've banned on Facebook, was trying to start with me, and I had some of my knights in shining armor say, "What are you starting with her for?" But I started a video because I did the video sharing the sailing yacht that we were on, the 90-foot Alabama, which was actually 92 years old and was absolutely gorgeous. It was just magnificent to be out there, and there was no fishing. And once we got out, the motor was cut off and the sails were put up, and it was that was majestic. And that's my kind of living, And if there could be something without a motor and sails, and I was young enough and I had a body that could do it because my back sucks, I would love to do it, And that's another thing. I think a lot of us might think like this. I think, man, I wish that I knew or I had the skills or I did what I'm doing now 30 years ago when my neck and back weren't falling apart, the gardening and the things I see and I want to do. And I wish I did it, or I wish I wasn't clueless, or I wish I wasn't whatever we wish we weren't. You can't go back and change time, but you can do these things going forward. It's just a fleeting thought sometimes that I feel like, wow, I was clueless for so long. But then being down the rabbit hole does take some of the joy away from just being on a simple vacation when everything you look at has a deeper significance to what we are going through on our planet. And how come, the results of going on a vacation are looking at boats all over the place that use huge amounts of gas. And a person said to me when I had made a comment about the rig, the sailboat, and how that's just the way to go, and those big yachts are so gross. And the person said, but, quote, "It's big business, and it isn't going away," unquote. It isn't going away. So to me, it isn't going away. That means we are. Because if we don't change, and it's probably the tipping point, we are going away. Maybe not you, maybe not me. Don't know. I never say I do. Think about everything you do, though. And I don't want to bring you down the rabbit hole to where you're like me and you look at all these things, You look at all these things and you understand, and it's like you just really see how come, why didn't we? But going backwards isn't helping me, so I go forward. We have a big election. Oh, Mindy says, I hate going to the grocery store. I'm nauseated by all the fake food. Oh, that's a whole nother live stream. But we have an election around here. Tracy Mitrano is our congressional candidate in Western New York 23rd. She's fighting against Tom Reed, who is not fighting. Okay, I'm using the wrong word. She's running against Tom Reed, who I call the Donald Trump ass licker because he is. And we are fighting for our lives in this rural community. We don't want to be fracked. We don't want to be pipelined. So those are the things I'll concentrate on. But it's very hard not to do commentary and look at the absurdity of the world, the ironic nature of things. And we do post some ironic headings to the articles we put up. I don't know how anybody can not see it. Stick with us, you will. Tina Trana, you just joined. Peace. It's great, but I'm going to end this because I've kept you long enough. These were the things I was thinking about, and what we can do is We can all just try to accept the other's viewpoints. Try not to snap judge something. Try to look deeper into what it is they might be saying if they're not a troll. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone on the ECH team. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting us as we go through this, whatever we're doing. Lee Hampton, I love you too. Thank you all. And Denny Glidwell, it's great you're all joining me. A little too late, but, we don't want to make this a super long one. Peace. Enjoy your Sunday. And thank you so much. I love you all.